welcome aboard to this episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to following the entire story of One Piece from beginning to end as we focus on each volume. We keep the discussion spoiler free for new fans of the series, so this is the perfect place to follow along, whether you're new to the series or just want to revisit the world of One Piece with us. This week, we will be covering the first part of Volume 80, Opening Speech, which covers chapters 796 through 801. My name is Joel, I'll be your host. Joining me today, we have Evan.
What's up?
And we have Cody.
Yo.
Yeah, so how you guys doing?
Doing
It's
good.
been a minute since we recorded. I hope I remember
Good to be back.
everything we've read.
Yeah, right. So full disclosure, the podcast has been behind on the editing on my part and also with the recording. So we do have a few episodes that I'll be editing, but by the time this comes out, it's probably gonna be like June. So I'm also feeling a little bit under the weather. I've been feeling under the weather the past week or so, which also kind of caused some delays. So I apologize if I sound sick. But Evan and Cody will help me out with the summaries to help me save my voice a little bit so we can try to have a discussion. But we did want to at least get the episode out so that way we can keep things moving. And we do want to wrap up Dressrosa, which we'll be doing in this episode, so we can update our arc rankings and the villain rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Dope.
So we have that to look forward to. All right, but I'll get us started with the summary from the beginning of the volume. The group infiltrates the kingdom of Dressrosa in an attempt to set up Doflamingo, but Law is abducted after falling into a trap. The rest of the crew meets a one-legged toy soldier who informs them of the nation's hidden darkness, and they decide to help the Little Tontatas in their fight for freedom. The companions defeat the DQ family officers, leaving only the wicked Doflamingo. Luffy then unleashes the tremendous Gear 4 to ultimately topple the mighty foe, liberating Dressrosa from his rule. While they all celebrate their victory, Nami's group is under attack by mysterious enemies on a mysterious island. Meanwhile, Kaido, King of the Beasts, shows himself at last, sending foreboding waves throughout the world.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Kaido.
Yeah, that is like the last reveal that we had, so that was pretty exciting.
Yeah. Barely fit on the page if I remember correctly.
He's a beast. The king of
He's
them.
a beast. King of the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So how about we have Evan cover the next chapter for us?
Let's do it. Chapter 796, Soldier's Conviction. Chizuru and Sengoku arrive at Dressrosa and learn that Isho has been using die rolls each day to determine whether or not to pursue the Straw Hats. Mancheri and some of the Tontatas introduce themselves to the Navy and take donations for their energy for efforts to heal injured citizens. The citizens of Dressrosa cheer for the return of King Riku, while servants attend to Rebecca at the palace and dress her in attire appropriate for the princess of Dressrosa. They discuss how they learned about how Scarlet had eloped with a prince from a far-off land, but Riku had pretended she died. Rebecca knows this isn't the truth, but Riku had told her that this was Kuros's decision to have this information spread across the country at Kuros's house. Luffy simultaneously tries to eat, sleep, cry, and talk, confused as to why this rumor was being spread. Kuros admits he is the one who started the rumor to allow Rebecca to continue as the princess of Dressrosa without Kuros's history ruining her reputation. Bartolomeo barges in to report that Chizuru and Sengoku have arrived in Dressrosa, and Leo calls on the transponder snail to notify them the Navy is on the move. Die roll did not roll in the Straw Hats' favor today. While the others prepare to make their escape, Luffy tells them to go on ahead as he has an errand to run.
All right. What do you guys want to start on this one?
I find Sengoku very relatable at the start here. I have taken a step back in my day job by the time this has come out. And he was like, God, I'm glad I'm not Fleet Admiral anymore. He's so retired. He's just a little button down with
he's
a
got a
bag
different
of
tone.
crackers. He's just chilling. I was part. It's like, hey man, you oversaw some like not great stuff. It's still like just the attitude. I was like, yeah, fucking mood.
He's like, not really my problem anymore. What do I care?
Yeah. Not my problem.
God, sucks for Sakazuki. Tsuru's got some history with Doflamingo too, right? It's
Yeah.
interesting that she's here.
Yep. Sounds like she might be
Mhm.
here for that specific purpose.
Mhm.
Yeah, because these two go back to the Rosante flashback because they were involved with trying to coordinate with Rosante to capture the Doflamingo pirates. So this has been an ongoing operation, even back then. So,
Right.
and I like Fujitora's attitude towards this whole thing, how he's been rolling the dice. So it's like, hey, well, it's a fair way to decide whether or not I should, do my job. And it's funny how like Son Goku just reacts to it because he actually laughs. So he's kind of remind me of like Garp, how he's kind of not taking things too seriously. Where Garp
Yeah.
also kind of got like that semi-retired like attitude. So Son Goku feels a bit more laid back than he would have been as Fleet Admiral. So it's kind of fun to see Son Goku with this new attitude. Say he's very amused by Fujitora's approach here.
Yeah, I do think Fujito's approach is like pretty fascinating. Like we've kind of seen it before, but to see it like being used over and over as kind of like part of his character, I think it's interesting because it's like even relying on chance and choosing chance, like it's still a choice. Like he makes
Yep.
it seem like it's not like he's not making a choice, but he is choosing to leave this up to the dice and leave it up to chance. And it's just interesting how it's more about like trust and fate than it is about control.
Yeah.
Which
That's a
we've
good
seen
point.
so much in the military is like the control, but he kind of leaves it up to fate.
Yeah, because like even like when we first introduced the character, he was gambling. But
Yeah,
like I like the way that you mentioned that he's leaving it up to fate, and that's the way he's seeing it, as opposed to I'm risking something. It's more whatever happens, happens. So it's like the die is what's making the decision. We have to go with whatever the die says. It's not like he's rolling and be like, okay, I'm gonna do something different. He's not like Two Face
right,
where it's like, okay, so it flipped the wrong way, and I'm gonna flip it the way I want it to flip. Okay, now I get to decide what I
Yeah.
want to
right.
do.
It's not as much, I guess, him choosing between two different courses of action. It's more so what's just the natural order of it, and what am I going to be in service of, as opposed to I think Evan said it's not about control. It's just he's
Mm,
facilitating.
right.
Yeah,
I did look at the odds here because Oda does like pull a mini twist here. Because when I first hear he's rolling the dice, I'm like, oh, okay, 50-50 shot. Okay, cool. It's
Mm.
like a 1, 2, or 3 that he does, or a 4 to 6 he doesn't, whatever. Okay, so like, I mean, 2 days, that's not too crazy. It's like 25% chance. That's fine. But then he lets us know, what was it? He said, anything that's not a 1, right? And
Yep.
then he's rounded up. So that's a 1 in 6 chance on day 1. Another 1 in 6 chance day 2. That means it's a 1 in 36 chance Luffy clears it for 2 days. There was a 97% chance Luffy got taken in that the Marines moved in the first 2 days. It's over some like
Fate.
there's something else guiding him, I guess. Oh no, okay, yeah, the numbers are pretty bad for him. Crazy. And I
Yeah.
think third day is 99% chance that the Marines move.
Fate favored the Straw Hats
Favorite the Straw
this
Hats.
day.
2 days.
Sorry, yeah, the past 2 days.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes after that.
We'll see.
And we have this nice little scene with King Riku and Elizabeth, how they're rekindling their alliance, because they've been good allies in the past, and they're talking from like one king to another. And King Riku's like concerned that like if he's gonna do a good job, because like he feels like he's let down the country before, but the people are on his side. So now that everything's come to light, the people know the truth, and they've decided that they want King Riku back. It's almost like it's different than how kings normally work, where it's like the people don't really pick their kings. Like the kings are more decided for them based on like lineage and stuff.
Mhm.
So it's not really democracy that decides the kings, but it's like the will of the people is that they did want this specific king. So it's still like the people actually kind of chose this king because they could have like rejected him, and like I think King Riku, if the people outright rejected him and did not want him back, and they made it clear, I think King Riku wouldn't force himself back on the throne. He's kind of reluctantly taking it back because that's what the people want, and he feels he needs to make it up to them and serve them. So yeah, I think it's interesting that he understands the will of the people, and that's the reason why he wants to make things right by them. And he's concerned if he's going to do a good job. So I think that makes him qualified to be a king because he cares.
Yeah, King Riku is a great king. I was honestly, for whatever reason, I thought he would have. I thought he was going to pass his power like immediately to Rebecca. I don't know why, but like for some reason, I like had this suspicion that he wasn't going to take the throne. Maybe because he was done. Maybe because he like experienced too much and like is traumatized from that, the fall of his reign before. But I'm glad to see that he is going to take on the reins here, because I think he's a deserving king, like you said.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be fair to really pass it on to Rebecca, who's not really ready for that kind of responsibility, and she's still trying to like figure out what she wants out of life.
Totally.
And King Riku has already kind of proven himself before everything went down. He proved himself to be a good king. So the people already know that he has the capability of being a good king, and the surrounding countries also respected him. So they also recognize that he's a good king. And I think that's kind of like why King Elizabello's conversation here with him is important, because it's showing that he has like good foreign relations with the nearby countries, and that's going to help make a strong, kind of united front here in this part of the One Piece world. So yeah, I think it's important that they return to a kingdom of peace, and that's kind of built by having the neighboring countries also kind of be on board with that peace.
Totally.
But he does say here, eventually he hopes to pass the throne down to Rebecca. So that does seem like something that he's considering for the future, but yeah, just not the immediate future.
His little line about being a god king who could prevent natural disasters. That's an interesting one. Because I just think of how many times we see like either characters who see themselves as gods or evil kings.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, that would be cool if that was like, if there ever were a motivation, I could see that. But that's, I guess, not what we've had so far. Luckily, everyone's been in a very different set of circumstances.
Yeah, it's kind of what they had before.
King,
yeah, I was gonna say, it's like Doflamingo was kind of like a god king. At least that's what he saw himself as, and he had the capability of causing natural disasters, but not really natural, but like large scale disasters. So it's kind of like, it's almost like ironic that he says this, where it's like the people who show that they have that kind of power tend to abuse it. So it's because he's not that kind of king. He's probably more qualified and better suited to be in that position. As if he had like power, like it could be like abused.
Yeah.
And then we see Rebecca in the palace. She's being put like into a dress with like these handmaidens, and they're making comments like, "Oh, it's better that you're in a dress than like that armor." And then there's like this rumor that's been going around. So she says like, "Oh, they say that Lady Scarlet ran off and eloped with a prince from a far off land, and that King Riku had no choice but to pretend that she had died." So it's like, this is the rumor that Kairos wanted to be spread, because he didn't want like his reputation to ruin Rebecca's reputation. So he sees himself as making the sacrifice for Rebecca so she can have a happy life. So he wants her to be happy, and he thinks that this is the best way to achieve that for her, so she can kind of like live this like comfy life in the palace. Cody, it looks like you're making some reactions over here. Do you have any thoughts on that?
What am I? What? Really? This doesn't remind me of any sort of shtick or conflict between Kairos and Rebecca. I've gotten zero thoughts on this. No, I mean I'm still going back and forth on like my general thoughts on Kairos and Rebecca, because I know I had my little crash out a few episodes ago and realized I may have recused myself. But like my gut instinct was like, yeah, God, I fucking hate this. I don't hate it as a narrative choice. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think I'm fine with the way this moment is playing out. I think for me, it's the fact that I like Kairos, and I find Kairos to be a very noble character, and I respect his intent and all of his actions and all his proclamations and anything he's doing. It's just that, like, you can still love someone and find them to be a good person, but be annoyed by them. Like, you can have a friend who's like very kind and that you enjoy hanging out with on Monday nights, but he just keeps getting all bitchy about these two characters in One Piece. You can get annoyed with that. But you can still like them, right? And that's kind of how I feel about Kairos. It's noble, but it's ultimately dismissive of whatever the other person wants. I think that's just my issue with it, is that it's dismissive of what Rebecca may want in the moment. Yes, Rebecca, it may be good for Rebecca in the, oh, she shouldn't have to fight or she shouldn't have to deal with this. But ultimately, it's like, do you know for sure? Is that what they're gonna say? And again, like especially in this case, I'm like, I think this is a good conflict to have. I think it serves the story very well. For me, I'm just like, I guess it's good that I'm being affected by it in this way because I feel immersed in it, and I feel like I want Rebecca to get what she wants here. How I feel about like the one moment before, I don't fucking know anymore. It's been so long. I'm gonna have to reread Dressrosa to get there. But yeah, I'm just like, here he goes again. But we'll get more into that as the chapter goes on.
Yeah, but I mean, in this case, yeah, like you said, Kairos has good intentions, but maybe misguided, and he didn't ask Rebecca what she wanted. So he made that decision unilaterally and did what he thought she would want or would make her happy, without actually figuring out if that's true or not. So he's doing what he thinks will make him feel better because he feels guilty and he doesn't feel good enough. So I think it's his own insecurities that's causing him to kind of push Rebecca away in this way. Yeah, I think it does tie into, like you said, the previous conflict where we had, where he's making these decisions for Rebecca because he cares about her. But whether or not that's what Rebecca wants, that's a different story. So Rebecca's kind of not being given the choice in some of these situations. And I think that's ultimately where the problem lies.
But I also think, like, now in retrospect,
I'm a fan of it. Sorry.
No, I think like in retrospect, looking back, like, but imagine like Kiros's position, because he has been trapped in this body, unable to like be truthful and upfront with Rebecca for years. And he hasn't been able to, he's never had this freedom or this chance for it to be a two-way street. Like you were saying, like it's been a one-way street for a long time. And he's been conditioned to do everything in his power to protect Rebecca and do everything to keep her safe. And I don't think it's never been able to be a two-way street until now. And I think that he still hasn't had that realization.
Yeah, I think his actions are very understandable, and I understand where he's coming from. It's just, unfortunate because of the circumstances.
Right.
I think unfortunate is the best word.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then Luffy, when he finds out about this rumor, he doesn't react too well to it. So Luffy's kind of got a lot going on in this one scene, which is really funny. He's trying to react to the news, and Luffy's like, but that's not true. Like Rebecca's dad is, the soldier. It's like, why is this rumor going around? Like, Kairos, he admits like, hey, I'm not the start of the rumor. This is what I think is best. I think it's better people don't know the truth about Rebecca's father. So like, let's try to make it look a little bit better for her. So again, he thinks that he's doing her a favor because he says like, I have a criminal record and a low upbringing. I was not meant to be tied to a noble family that way. So it's for the best.
Self-sabotage.
Yeah, I think this also kind of summed up pretty well too, because he says like that he sent the letter, and he says she might look down on me. She might look down upon me for my choice, but she's still a child. So he's kind of like not really respecting that she's old enough to make a decision for herself.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, she doesn't understand the way the world works yet. So like I know better in this situation. Yeah, I won't have her future happiness ruined over a temporary fit of emotion. And then he gets some glares. There's glares from like Zoro, Usopp, and then like Luffy's also not
He's
like
not this for a minute. He doesn't believe this at all.
I did think it was funny when Bartolomeo barges into the house. So he's like, oh, good morning, Mr. Luffy. And then when he notices like 5 members of the Straw Hat crew, and then he's like, it's like blinding, like how awesome they look. So he can't even like stare at them.
Incredible.
Cody even did the backlighting on it. Lovely.
Yeah. If ever happened to see the whole Straw Hat All Stars line up at once, I think I might just go blind.
Guys, like a laser beam of awesomeness.
They're so cool.
Are these two devils on his shoulder supposed to be Sengoku and Desiro?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how he conjured up that image.
Yeah.
I guess that's what he.
They're kind of like
did.
abstract, like demonized little caricatures almost.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we see the die lands on 6 this time. So that means that they're going after the Straw Hats.
Some of the Marines are saying, "Hey, we don't have authority to go in the palace," which is, question of national sovereignty. But Fujitora is saying, "It's okay. I'll take the blame." So he's being good boss.
Yeah.
He's not going to let the rank and file get in trouble for him. So there's some responsibility there.
Okay. Anything else in this one?
Is Cavendish like full on eating the petals of the rose here? What's going on with that?
Munching.
Oh, it does say munch munch.
I don't know. It is cool to see everyone kind of working together here collaboratively and setting plans in motions quickly as Luffy like regains consciousness and they're on the move.
Yeah. It's like, it's go time.
Yeah. Luffy's had enough meat. Let's go.
I think it's also worth noting that they stuck around. Because it's not like they all left. Like,
True.
After everything like kind of calmed down, they did stick around as well.
Yeah, and speaking of sticking around, Luffy's got somewhere else to be.
Everybody's like, all right, we gotta get out of here. The Navy's coming. Luffy's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go do something else.
Also, yeah, I gotta go do something else real quick. Got a quick errand to run.
Be right back.
Classic Luffy, though.
Okay, Cody, you good to start the next one for us?
Yeah. Chapter 797, Rebecca. Luffy's new allies from the Colosseum make moves to confuse the Navy to help the Straw Hats escape, but the Navy figures out they're being misdirected and start heading for the port. Luffy arrives at the palace and shouts for Rebecca, who's happy to see Luffy hasn't left yet. Luffy asks Rebecca if she's really okay with not living with her father. She received the letter and thought he didn't want to live with her, but Luffy says he'll take her to him if that's what she wants. She agrees and hops on his back as he runs off. Word gets out that Luffy has kidnapped Rebecca. The Navy tries to mobilize, but begin to suddenly collapse. Rebecca arrives at Kiros' home, telling him that she doesn't care that he's not some prince or about his past. She's his daughter and wants him by her side. Viola tells Riku that Rebecca will not be returning to the palace, and she left to live with her father. Fujitora is closing in on Luffy as he runs.
All right, thank you. Okay, so do we want to pick up with Luffy confronting Rebecca?
Yeah, sure. Saving the princess from the tower.
Yeah, so this is the errand that Luffy wanted to run. He wanted to meet up with Rebecca and figure out like if she's okay with the decision that was made for her. Like, hey, like,
yeah,
are you really okay with doing this?
Yeah, I love this. I think like it's such a Luffy move. We've talked about how Luffy has a good judge of character and has a good sense of people. And so he hears this story and he's like, nah, I'm not buying it. That doesn't feel right. And he knows Rebecca is probably having those same feelings. And so Luffy's going to go face that conflict head on. And so he goes straight to Rebecca to hear it from her mouth. And I don't know, it's such like a loving and caring act by Luffy. It didn't have to do this. Like they'd already figured something out that was, like from Kiros's perspective, didn't need fixing, was something that he was happy moving forward with. And Luffy's kind of risking a lot by coming here, but who is Luffy but not someone to, try to help out a friend who he thinks is in need.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, is that Luffy could have done nothing, but like he was aware of how both people were feeling, and he didn't think it seemed right. So he wanted to take action to give Rebecca the opportunity to go live with her father. Be like, hey, I'll take you there. I'll bring you to where you want to go. I just want to make sure like that's what you want to do. So like Rebecca felt almost like rejected and thought like, oh, he probably doesn't want to live with me. So that's what she took it. So it was like a misunderstanding. Like Kairos thought he was doing what was best for her, and then she took it as being like, oh, he doesn't want me. So Luffy kind of came to clear the air and be like, you two both want to, reunite and be with each other. So like, let's not pretend that's not what you guys want. So he gives Rebecca the chance to, to leave the palace and go live with her father in the countryside.
I also love the fact that it's not Luffy trying to like fix everything in the sense of like clearing up the misconception of like, oh, does he want to live with you or not? Because she literally says, "Does he not live with me?" And he says, "I don't know. You figure it out."
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
He's not there to like fix her problem. He's just there to give her the means to fix the problem herself.
Right.
Right.
He's
Like,
there to
hey, you
empower
can
her
make
and to keep her free.
make your decision.
Yeah.
Which is what
Which is
Kyros was
so
not
Luffy.
giving her.
Yeah.
Yep. But he's like, I don't care about the baggage. I don't care about like the he said, she said. I want you to be able to do what you want. Like it's
Yeah.
it's giving like Luffy not listening to Nami's backstory in Arlong.
Yeah.
Kind of energy, you know?
Yeah.
He's giving her autonomy, which Kyros did not.
Yeah. 100%. We love Luffy.
We love Luffy. Or Lucy in this scene.
I love Lucy.
I love Lucy.
Lucy.
Nice.
Very nice. Also, back up really quick. I do love just like this silly fucking operation they've got going on to help everyone escape. Just specifically like Abdullah and Jeet, just like, and I think Ideo just like knocking all the Marines
Yep.
in the Eastern Port and they're saying, "Oh yeah, this is us. Yeah, everything's good here. No, we're good. No, you don't need to send anyone over. We're fine. But wait, the pirates aren't over here. Everything's under control. What's there to have under control? Nothing. No, we're good. We're good, man."
Yeah, this reminds me of Han Solo in A New Hope, where he's talking like over the speaker, and he's like, "Everything's good here. Everything's normal. How are you?" And they're like, "What's your Imperial code?" And he's like, and then he shoots like the station. So it's kind of like the same thing here.
Yeah.
Where, like, "Oh yeah, everything's fine. Thank you." And then he asks for the naval code. So it's pretty much like right out of A New Hope. So that's what I was getting from that. Yeah. So then we have this moment where Kairos is reflecting. He's like, now everybody's like left. He's like sitting by himself, and yeah, he's thinking like, "Oh, forgive me, Scarlet, for falsifying the nature of our marriage. It's all for Rebecca's sake." So he's like, "I just want to be happy," and it looks like he's getting ready to leave. It's like there's kind of nothing left for me here. And then Rebecca shows up at his door and says like, I don't care about like your past. Like I'm not the daughter of some prince from somewhere, like far off land. You're my father. Like I'm the daughter of Kairos. And it's like she's like, yeah, you can't lie about that. And it's like, and then she says, just be at my side, soldier. Which is like a nice little callback to when he would say, I'll ever be at your side.
This is what I want from Rebecca and Kyros, and I can be very happy with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, love this. This is a great scene.
Yeah. So this is the resolution that like this kind of been building towards. It seemed like there was a lot of things that it was kind of like each other that was like kind of keeping them away. It was them trying to assume what the other was thinking, and that kind of just led to them not really confronting it and really figuring out what they want to do. They've had all this time together, really, even though Kairos was in the form of the toy soldier. Like there were still those years that they spent together, and Kairos was still at her side, and Kairos like watched her grow. And now that they have this chance to live a normal life together, and they've come to terms like with their situation, and they realize that they don't have to live apart. They can live a happy life together. So it's nice to see. It took them a lot to get to that realization, but it's good that this is the resolution that they arrive at eventually.
Yeah, I think this is a beautiful scene, and then like a beautiful conclusion to this connection that we've watched grow throughout this whole arc. And it kind of, I think, loosely ties back to like our common conversation around like blood family versus chosen family. Mm-hmm. And I think Kyros was looking at it as like from a logical perspective and being like, oh, this is the best outcome where Rebecca can live like the safest, happiest life. And like, I'm not in that picture.
Yeah.
And then Rebecca's like, no, I choose to be with you, dummy. Like, of course I want to be with you. Like,
yeah.
What are you talking about? Like, it's not on paper. Like we finally have the opportunity to make this a reality. Like, let's do that.
Very sweet.
Very sweet.
Yeah. And then we wrap up the chapter with Fujitora closing in on Luffy.
Let's go.
And Laws vanished somewhere.
All right. Evan, you want to take us into the next chapter?
Let's. All right. Chapter 798. Art. The Tontatas have sabotaged the Navy by taking their bullets, sewing their ships together, and taking too much of their energy that they donated so they can't move. Sengoku confronts Law, asking if he's the boy that Rocinante helped all those years ago. Law confirms he is, and he says he's lived his life in order to get back at Doflamingo. He tells Sengoku he's not sure if this D way of life is the way Corazon would have wanted him to live, and asks if Sengoku knows anything about the D name. He denies that he does. Sengoku tells him to appreciate the love that Rocinante gave him and honor him by keeping him in his memory as he agrees to look the other way this time to let Law go free. Suddenly, rubble from across the country begins to rise up into the air under control of Fujitora. The pirates see this as their cue to escape, but Luffy decides to make a stand, unleashing an attack on Fujitora. Luffy says that he trained the past 2 years in order to be able to beat anyone, so if he plans to be king of the pirates, he needs to stop running.
All right.
I really like the start of this chapter with the Tontatas stealing all the bullets and gunpowder, all the weapons, the swords, the pistols, the axes, the knives, the spears, sewing the ships together with Leo's power. I think it's such a cool application of Tontata's power, because it is easy to like, oh, they steal things, they're so cute, but like, no, the Tontatas they're crazy. They're stupid powerful. And it's nice to get like one more little taste of that on a bigger scale like this. And it's just funny.
Yeah.
Plus, oh my god, the Marines collapsing. As I was reading it tonight, I was like,
yeah,
I know, me too.
It's such a nice little setup with Mancherry healing everyone in the first chapter of the volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she concerned about them. Like, but it's like, she doesn't seem to realize that it's like a deliberate thing that they're doing to like take away the Navy's power so they can't go after them. She's like, oh, I hope we're not taking too much of their power. She's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's fine.
It's a very good cause.
So
it's like, we have permission from Kairos. Yeah, and what do you guys think of the interaction with Law and Sengoku?
Crying. It's
yeah.
fine. It's
sad.
Trying to come at it from Law's perspective, and it must be so rough. The first thing he hears being, "Oh yeah, this kid I care about died, and I just want to know what happened." Because as we've seen with Law, so much of him is just feeling responsible for the things that happened to him, and just holding on to all that fucking trauma. And it's just like, wow, what terrible fucking luck that's how this conversation between the two of you starts. You just still hold on and keep responsible for it. But Sengoku's quote at the end, you don't have to find a reason for people to love you. I think that's what Law's needed to hear for the past 10 years. Or however long. I'm forgetting the math here. But it's really nice to hear him say that. And from two people who are like such complete different sides of the world, to find connection through a person. I think that's really beautiful. I'm glad Oda had it resolved like this.
Yeah.
Agreed.
This is a great beat. And Law's line, I got both my life and my heart from him. Got me. That was so good. Also talking openly about Willow D. And I think we already know them, like the Navy's aware of this idea, but it is interesting hearing Sengoku talk about it. Or I guess he doesn't talk about it, but we get internal dialogue that he's thinking about it.
Yeah, so it looks like he reacts to when Law brings it up. It seems like he wasn't aware that Law has that hidden name, but he does react to it. But then he pauses before saying like he doesn't really know anything about it. So I think his reaction makes me think he probably knows more than he's willing to say here. He's willfully not telling Law.
Right. Yeah, we get some internal dialogue from him stating that he does seemingly know about it. Presumably other people in the Navy might also know about it.
I'm interested by this term, checkered fate.
Yeah. I mean, they do seem to be rising to the surface, no?
All the D's, you mean?
All the D's, yeah. They seem to be bubbling to the surface a little bit.
Yeah. This does seem to be the time when they're all causing trouble.
Yeah, I just think this interaction, there's a lot of emotion here, and it is very interesting that these two people that had that connection to Rosinante, like Cody said, they're like on opposite sides of the law here, and they still have this one thing that connects them, and they're the two people that kind of really knew Rosinante, and they're the only ones that have kind of like this memory of him. So it's kind of nice for them to know that there's somebody out there that also knew this person that they both care for deeply. And even though they don't see the world the same way, they at least have like that thing that they can share. And I think that's kind of like why Sengoku here decides to give Law a little bit of leeway. He doesn't capture him, he lets him go. So again, we see like Sengoku's a little bit more lax in his duties than he might have been as the fleet admiral, and he's willing to look the other way this time for Law, kind of like, almost as like a favor to Rosante. So it's nice to see that connection here and how how this scene plays out between these two.
Then we get a little Fujitora flex here. What? This is a wild display of power by Fujitora.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to do clean up on Dressrosa real quick.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, how about we take this and move it over here?
We take the bubble from Dressrosa and push it somewhere else. It's nice seeing Luffy just try and face him head on, though. I love the fact that he's bringing up the fact that, oh no, 2 years ago we would have ran. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a point where it's like he has to prove that he has what it takes to be the king of the pirates. He can't be the king of the pirates if he runs away from the tough battles. Like, he needs to be able to take on like any force in the world in order to prove himself as worthy of being king of the pirates. So it's like, yeah, eventually I'm gonna have to take on like, admirals, emperors, like whoever it might be. It's like I gotta take on anybody who's willing to challenge me. So I'm not running away. Like after what happened in Sab Odi, I trained for 2 years, and this is to kind of show what I've been working towards. So he's like, I'm ready to try to take on this admiral.
Got to pass everyone on your way to the top.
It does raise the question of like, okay, but can you actually win though? Can you actually get it done?
Right.
But then the answer is at a certain point it doesn't matter, and you do just have to try.
Yep. You just got to go for it.
Yeah, so last time he was up against admirals, he couldn't really do anything. So when he faced Borsalino, he couldn't do anything. When Aki Inu attacked, he couldn't do anything. When Kuzan attacked, he couldn't do anything. So every time he faced an admiral, like, he was clearly outmatched. So the fact that he's over here and he's willing to take on an admiral after losing to all the previous admirals, like, he's like, I'm gonna see what I can do here. So I got to respect him for making that stand. All right, you guys good to move on to the next one?
Let's do it.
I'm good.
Okay. All right. So next up will be Cody.
Chapter 799, Fathers and Sons. Luffy announces his attacks for Fujitora in an attempt to make this a fair fight for a blind man. But Fujitora makes it clear that Luffy does not need to express sympathy for his opponent. Luffy says he doesn't think Fujitora is a bad guy, which amuses the admiral. Hajrudin catches Luffy and forces their retreat to the line of ships set up from Orlumbus's Yonta Maria fleet to create a bridge out into the ocean. The escape seems to be futile, however, as Fujitora floats the debris above the ships. A mob arrives, shouting for Luffy to get back here for kidnapping Rebecca and telling the Navy not to interfere. But Fujitora can tell from the tone of their voices that they aren't actually angry. The citizens of Dressrosa were already aware that Kiros was Rebecca's father and just decided not to talk about it. Fujitora realizes Luffy had won the citizens over and is not able to drop the rubble on innocent civilians, and decides he'll just have to let Straw Hat go this time. The fighters from the Colosseum gather on the Yonta Maria and tell Luffy they want to pledge their loyalty to him through the ritual of exchanging the father and son cups.
All right.
I love this opening sequence. Like, we just got Luffy being like, no mercy, and then shows mercy on Fujitora here, and then Fujitora calls him out for it. Like,
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
I'm going to
With all
kick you.
that talk,
All right,
you're
here comes
going
my
easy.
punch. Get ready. I'm
Yeah.
about to kick and punch.
Get a headbutt you!
But it's like Luffy said, like Luffy cares for this. He likes Fujitora, so he's like doesn't want to be like pummeling on him.
Yeah.
Which
Which
is
it's also like,
interesting, 'cause I feel
oh,
like-
okay, buddy, you think you're gonna pummel on him? All right,
Yeah.
look at you, Mister. Wow.
And like Fujitora's like, what incarnation do you think you're doing? Call out your moves ahead of time.
Yeah, what is this anime?
Only noobs call their moves. Gravity blade.
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah, but it's funny how like Luffy gives his reason. He's like, I don't think you're a bad guy. And then Fujitora's like, oh, the pirate saying I'm not a bad guy? Okay. Yeah, so unfortunately this fight gets cut short. So we're not gonna actually find out if Luffy could have taken on Fujitora because Hedron kind of takes him out of the fight. So it's almost like a little tease from Oda being like, oh, he's gonna fight an admiral, and then it's like he's not fight the admiral. I remember I was a little bit disappointed the first time I had read the story because I expected, if Luffy was gonna make that big of a stand, he was gonna actually have to see the fight through. But like that kind of decision's taken away from him, and we as a reader also see like, okay, well, that's not really happening. So like, it seemed like Luffy was going to get to a point where it's like, all right, now we're gonna see Luffy is ready to take on such a strong force, and now we're kind of like not really getting the answer to that.
Or it's like you guys just got Doflamingo battle, like chill. Gonna have to tide you over for a bit. But yeah, I mean, this would be quite the matchup. I mean, Fujitora's floating an entire city's worth of debris above their heads as they fight. So I think Fujitora might also been pulling some punches as well.
I think so, yeah.
I do just really like the connection he's making between the rebel from Dressrosa and the consequences of what this arc will be. Of it being everything, yeah, it's of the black sky above them being Kaido and all these other people that Luffy's pissed off now.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
And I like how Zoro's ready to step in after Adrian grabs Luffy. So I was like, all right, cool. Now it's my turn. He has a sword, so I can fight him.
Yeah, did he say blade? I'm in.
Yeah, we have this like nice scene where the citizens start rushing in, and they're like, "Hey, you better get back here, you rotten Luffy! I'm gonna pound you." Oh no, we're so mad that you took our princess. And it's like, and then like you can see like they're like, kind of smiling, like they're putting on this act. So Fujitora, he picks up on it because he can hear the tone of the voice, being like, "Okay, they're not really mad." So it sounds like they're just trying to put on a show to be like to protect Luffy. So Luffy's won over the people of Dressrosa. It's not just like the pirates who are helping him to escape, but also the people. And Fujitora is kind of like, what can I say? Like, I like the guy.
Kind of like the guy. He also did say
It's
that
pretty
Luffy like had to be the hero here, and he's
Yeah.
going to be the hero.
Yeah.
Mhm. I'm just glad like it's the people saving Luffy again.
Yeah.
The same reason I liked
Yeah.
in the Doflamingo fight, the same reason I like this moment. It's just good
Mhm.
seeing them be such an important part of it all.
For sure.
And then we get one of my favorite quotes in the arc. I suppose I shouldn't have closed these eyes. Now I want to take a gander at your face.
Mm,
Ah,
yeah.
ah. He closed his eyes because he saw so much evil, and now he wishes he could see someone good.
Yeah. And like a place that's probably like least expected.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think this has come up before, but if Fujitora did intentionally blind himself, like the wounds are self-inflicted. So it was a conscious decision that he had made. And he's competent enough to be this strong, and he's able to fight without having to use his sight. He's able to use like his other senses, but he still can't see Luffy now because he's never seen Luffy at this point because Luffy kind of came up after he had blinded himself. Although I wonder if there's like a specific like incident that happened that made him to make that decision.
Mhm.
So I wonder if we'll get that someday. We find out more of his backstory because I think Fujitora is a very interesting
would-
character.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I really like Fujitora.
Yeah,
He's so cool.
I think I like Luffy. I think he also is a good judge of character and like trusts his gut on things,
yeah,
even though he leaves things up to chance.
Or fate.
or fate.
Yeah, and then what'd you guys think of the Coliseum gladiators deciding to pledge their loyalty to Luffy?
And then some. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just like that, the Straw Hats are 5,600 strong.
I feel like so often there's like a question in a new arc of like, ooh, is someone gonna join the crew?
Right?
Like, you know, Water 7's like, oh, is it gonna be Frankie? Oh, could it be Polly? Could it be this other random
Yep.
person? No, it's all fucking 7 of them.
It's
Yeah.
everybody.
In a weird way. Cool.
The other half of the Straw Hat team's like, who do you think, what quirky character do you think Luffy's going to bring back to join our crew?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this is awesome. Seeing some serious alliance formed here.
Yeah. So this is a nice way to make those characters relevant because Oda has spent a lot of time with these characters in this arc. And we kind of talked about before how in place of having the Straw Hats do their fights, we've had these characters have fights in the arc. So it kind of makes more sense that Oda devoted this much time to these characters because he had this kind of plan for them that they were going to be relevant to Luffy's crew in particular. So the fact that they're becoming part of the Straw Hat fleet is why Oda gave us so much time with these characters and development. So it doesn't feel like it was like wasted time with these characters. It feels like it was building towards something.
Totally. Yeah, it makes this moment all that much more gratifying.
Yeah.
And notably, it's not Luffy saying, oh, sorry, go ahead, Cody.
I was getting just like a very organic way to like get them all under his banner and get them all on his side. It just came about
Right.
so smoothly. It's like, yeah, it makes sense. Just given the circumstance you have and the way that Luffy like inspired you in this moment that you would want to fall under his banner.
That's pretty much exactly what I was going to say. I was just going to add that like Luffy didn't ask them to join. They were like, we're joining, like we are joining you.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't Luffy saying, hey, I expect this of you now. Like, prove your loyalty to me. They were like, no, we want to be a part of what you're a part of. Like, we want to be a part of this.
Yeah, something that they decided on their own collectively,
Right.
and they're all on board with it. And it's interesting because I think this is what Don Chin Chao was trying to offer to Luffy was like his services from the army back in the Coliseum, and Luffy misunderstood and thought like he was being attacked, but he was trying to just bow and show his gratitude to Luffy for fixing his head. And he wanted to like pledge his army to him, and then Luffy never heard that. So that was kind of like the start of this, and now we're kind of seeing like it was more than just that. It's like the rest of the gladiators now too. All right, do you guys want to continue this conversation with the next chapter?
I think so.
Let's.
Okay, Evan will take this one.
All right. Chapter 800 Sun's Cups. To everyone's shock, Luffy declines to drink the cup, giving the reason that he doesn't really like alcohol. They try to explain that it's not about the taste, but the gesture and their pledge to him. Luffy tells them that he's not really interested in being the master captain of a fleet. They insist, but Luffy pushes back that he just wants to be the king of the pirates, not some big shot. Luffy clarifies that he doesn't need anything formal, but if they need him, they can call on him. Bartolomeo gets in, realizing Luffy doesn't want to be king of the pirates for the clout, but to have freedom. Suddenly, they begin taking fire from angry pirates whose weapons deals fell through due to Doflamingo's fall. Fujitora drops the rubble on the enemy pirates as a parting gift for Luffy. Rebecca and Kiros look on, happy to see Luffy get away safely and hope to see him again someday. The members of the Straw Hat fleet decide to pledge their loyalty to Luffy anyway and drink from the sun's cups. They celebrate with a feast.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah. Party time.
Yeah, so chapter 800.
Crazy. 800 chapters in one piece.
800 chapters, friends. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thoughts on this one?
I mean, I love that first panel. I ain't drinking this. Like, that was just such a perfect segue. You know, just like immediately diffusing the levity of the whole situation.
Well, they're trying to make this like grand gesture that should be like
Right.
meaningful, and they're like, "Oh, we have this ritual, and like, we came to this decision as a group that we wanted to pledge our loyalty," and Lucy's just like, "Nah."
Yeah.
It's like
But
this weird inverse of how Luffy would like recruit people at the start.
Yeah.
See people and be like, "Hey, join my crew," and then someone's like, "No, I'm good." No, no, you're gonna join my crew. No, I'm good. No, you're on the boat now. Okay, and it's just completely flipped.
Yeah.
Be our
yeah.
boss. I don't want to. Cool. Be our boss. Cool. Okay. Well, we're gonna act like you're supported. Say, wait. Cool. Fine. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that's so true.
Really fun.
It's like it's very funny because like you said, it's kind of like Luffy not realizing that like they're kind of doing to him what he's done to other people, but he's also kind of not realizing the significance of what they're trying to do. Like it's just like not like reaching him, and they're trying to explain to him like, no, like this is like what's happening. And then like, it's funny when he's like, "Oh yeah, I don't really like alcohol," and Zoro's like, "I'll take it."
yeah. I'm your first mate. It's my duty.
It is funny, just like so many people have been like over the course there's, oh well, like isn't the guy with the swords the captain?
Yeah.
It would be funny if like, well, by law, Zoro drank the sake, so he's the boss of the fleet.
And Luffy probably would be fine with that.
Yeah.
Maybe not the captain part, but yeah, I love how the roles kind of switched here. And Barty nails it. I feel like we've been kind of saying this over the course of this arc, but he says that Luffy doesn't want to be big. He wants to be free.
Yep.
He doesn't want to be a big shot. He just wants to be free. And I feel like that summarizes it perfectly.
Yeah, because it's funny because like when Luffy says that, he's like, "I just want to be king of the pirates, not some kind of big shot." And then everybody's like, they do like the head tilt and like, "Huh?" Like nobody's like, that doesn't make any sense. Like that's like
But
being a big shot. Like yeah, and then like you said, Bartolomeo's like, "Oh, I see what he means." Where he's like Luffy's intention, like the reason why he wants to be king of the pirates isn't because he wants to have the accolades. He doesn't want like people to like recognize him as the king of pirates because like they think it's cool. He's like, I just want the ability to have that freedom, do whatever I want. And his view is like the king of the pirates is the one who's most free. They can go wherever they want. So that's
Right.
kind of like what he really wants out of being the king of the pirates.
I guess for me, it's the fact that like one, they're treating Luffy the way Luffy would treat like his
Mhm.
crewmates. The fact
Yep.
that Barto like clicks it clicks when he's like, oh no, this is what Luffy wants.
Yep.
And that as the chapter goes on, they're really saying, okay, well, if you want to be free, we're gonna be free to act as we want too. So this is happening.
Yeah.
It just goes to show, oh no, these are the perfect people to be Luffy's subordinates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really does work. It really is like this. It has to be this way. It just
Yeah.
has to.
It's not desire for power or control. It's like an actual desire to help Luffy,
Yeah.
like on a personal level. Like it's like it's the perfect alliance because they aren't following orders; they're following their hearts.
Yeah. And then Luffy even says, like, for him, it's not about the control. He's like, hey, like we're friends. So it's like we'll help each other out if we need it. Like if you guys need like our help, we'll be there for you. If we need your help, we'll call on you guys. So it's like
Yeah,
he doesn't want it to be like this big formal thing. He's just like to him, it's just like kind of natural to be like, we're gonna help each other out because we're friends now.
yeah,
So that's the way like he's kind of like, approaching it. So it's not like, oh, I don't like you guys, I don't want to see you. It's more like you guys make a big deal out of it. We're just friends.
yeah. This is a powerful full panel or double page panel we get in the middle with the 7 new allies drinking from the cups.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's a great page.
Great page. Although I will say,
Rough
someone who's not participating in these activities is Law. Like Law is not pledging allegiance or saying anything or partaking whatsoever. It does not partake. Which I
Correct.
was I was a little shocked that we didn't get Law's opinion one way or the other at all.
Yeah, as far as law is concerned, this has nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
Yep. It had an alliance. The alliance was successful. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we haven't really gotten
far.
his feelings, but like I'm surprised we didn't get something here in this chapter.
Yeah. So what do you think Law's feelings are?
Um, I mean, I feel like Law's probably in a similar. Like, I'm surprised he didn't jump in because I feel like Law's feelings would be the same. Like, Law has his own objectives and goals, and he's got the will of D. So I think he has his own journey that he needs to go on. And I thought that he would maybe become an ally like this, where it's like not a direct. They're not like directly subordinates of Luffy, but they're just strong allies who, if he puts the bat signal up, like they're going to come.
Cody, did you have any opinions on that?
I would love that. I think that'd be really neat. I think Law still strikes me as someone who is very much likes Luffy and is down to help him when it's convenient. Law still feels like someone who I think, like Evan said, has his own journey, and I think mainly is so self-directed. I don't see him dropping everything to help someone else. Whereas these 7, I do see them being like, all right, cool. Whatever we're doing, that's on the back burner now. And for me, that's the difference in there.
Yeah, he's. I mean, I feel like having 2 people with the will of D on the same ship would be like having, I think it would be a conflict of interest a little bit.
Yeah, so I think the main reason why Law isn't actively participating in this is because he's not one of the warlords anymore, and he's going to go back to pursuing his own dream of being the king of the pirates. So Luffy is a rival of his now. They were temporary allies, but now that their goal has been accomplished, they can both go back to being rivals, trying to achieve the same goal. So if Law was like willing to pledge to Luffy or be part of this alliance, it would be conceding his dream. So I think it's important for Law to still be striving to be king of the pirates himself. So Law's got his own goals at this point. So I think it's going to be more like they're going to be probably more like friendly rivals, but at the end of the day, they're still rivals and they're both trying to achieve the same thing. And only one of them can do it.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's the truth. But a guy can dream. I was hoping that like Law could maybe like form some sort of like soft alliance or use the word friend meaningfully. But yeah, it's not really a Law.
Again, like I don't think that they're like enemies per se.
Sure.
I think it's more of like there's a camaraderie and there's like a respect. But at the end of the day, they're both trying to get the same thing, and only one's going to be able to do it.
It is interesting though with Law right now because he is at a very interesting point in his own journey. Because up until this point, the guiding force between everything he has done in this story has been revenge on Doflamingo, carry out Corazone's will, and really that is done. Law's like stated goal throughout the entire story, because like he doesn't really talk about, I want to be king of the pirates, I want to find the One Piece. It's really just been like, I want to bring on Doflamingo, and really defeating, pissing off Kaido has just been a way to kill Doflamingo. Mm-hmm. So I do agree, Joel, that like I do see Law becoming a rival to. I do see them. They're not gonna be on the same team just because of the way they are in the narrative. But it is a question of like, okay, why does Law want to become king of pirates now? How does finding the One Piece help him, and what is guiding him at this point now? And that's what I'm very interested to get into more.
Yeah, totally.
I think part of it's also really freeing for him as well, because he's had that weight over him for so long. And now that that goal has been achieved, I think he can be more focused on trying to achieve being king of the pirates. So it's like that's something that he can now get past, and it's not going to be something weighing him down. Like I think it's going to be like, kind of like a freedom that he's not going to be able to experience and being able to just move forward. So I think it's really important for Law at this point.
Yeah, and if Law does start equating like the search for the One Piece with freedom, I find it very interesting that interacting with Luffy was like part of the catalyst for that association, whether directly or indirectly. I still think that's really because that's how we associate with freedom is through Luffy. So it's cool that he's on that journey too and has that same reaction to it.
Yeah, I think Luffy and Law's history has been very interesting because even back at Marineford, Law helped Luffy when he didn't really have to, and he didn't have like a very clear reason as to why he did it. So it's also kind of like weird because like if he saw Luffy as a potential rival for the future, it's like why would he help him? But then it also kind of worked out in his favor that by saving Luffy, back then he was now able to work with Luffy, and Luffy was able to help him achieve the defeat of Doflamingo. So it's kind of like he helped himself by helping Luffy without realizing it. So it's kind of like he had that instinct that this kid might be important to me someday, and maybe that was kind of the ultimate reason why he was like it was worthwhile to help Luffy back then, whether or not he knew the reason or what was going to play out. But the fact that he did that kind of paid off for him. So it's just interesting, like the relationship that they've had even since like Law's introduction.
Yeah. Again, especially as Evan has said, being people who both have the letter D.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're gonna be lifelong friends.
Yeah, I wonder
like
if
in
that
the
was a
same way
factor
that
for
like
Law.
in the same way that like Roger and like Whitebeard were like friendly rivalries, or like I feel like the way Luffy and Shanks are kind of going to be like friendly rivals. You know, like their goals don't line up, but there's a mutual respect there, and even friendship there. I think.
Yeah, I think it's I
See,
think it's really apt.
Yeah, but that's something I never thought about before. Is I wonder if Law recognized that Luffy has the initial D, if that was why he thought Luffy was important too. That could be a reason why he helped Luffy back in Marineford. He just didn't say like that
Yeah,
was the reason, but that could have been a big factor for him.
mhm.
Yeah, my headcanon is like, I think it's a combination of that and seeing the way he acted at the auction house. See,
Yeah.
okay, he is willing to do really stupid shit in the name of like a cause. Cool. I know a guy who could stand to get punched, and a lot of people will not fucking bother punching. Cool. Check. And two, Will of D, Corazon said enemies of the gods. Okay, it's all connected. Let's keep this guy around.
That's another character I didn't think about. He's like, yeah, he's the one to punch Celestial Dragon, and then like Law didn't know
2 Celestial Dragons now.
Yeah, because Law didn't know
Yep.
Doflamingo's connections, but now it's kind of also being like it ended up kind of working out that way too. So it's kind of interesting how like Law instinctively picked like a perfect person to have an alliance with.
Yeah. I guess I don't see it as Law being
Yeah.
like, oh, Celestial Dragon, Dofi Dragon, because again, he
He didn't
for
really know
sure.
that. But yeah.
But like more so the fact like oh, this person who is untouchable, that has all these connections, that has all these resources that most people won't try and fuck with. This guy's not going to care. So whether it's Kaido or Dofi or whoever is responsible, like, still useful, still could be helpful. And now they're friends. It's great.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, and then we also have this great moment where when they're being attacked by the pirates who are mad that Doflamingo's weapons market has gone under, Fujitora actually helps Luffy here by dropping the rubble on those ships. So Fujitora actually helps Luffy get away in this case. When we know that Fujitora is in trouble because he failed to capture Luffy before, and he's told not to go back to any Navy base until he's captured Luffy in Law, and he's actively working against his best interest. So he makes a decision here, a little bit like kind of Smoker, how he like kind of gives the Straw Hats like a pass in Alabasta, where he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna let the Straw Hats go, even though it's like I'm really supposed to be catching them. Like they kind of help me out here, so I'm gonna help them back."
Yeah, I didn't see him rolling dice for that one. Very conscious choice to attack the pirates, and even gives thanks for what they did in Dressrosa.
Yeah, so he thinks to himself, like, I don't really have the right to chase you all. I'm hoping to keep this under wraps, but for cleaning up the government's mess, you have my utmost thanks. And he kind of gives like a little bow. And then Sengoku kind of saw that. So but Sengoku's not really mad about it. But it's kind of like his mindset about how he didn't feel like it was right for the Navy to come in and clean up the mess for the Seven Warlords, which is the Navy's mess in the first place, the world government's mess. So he saw it as being like hypocritical to be like, oh, we're going to act like the heroes in this case. So it's him kind of like repaying the favor of kind of throwing a wrench into the Seven Warlords system that he already didn't agree with. So it kind of served his purpose in that way. But Luffy also actively helped the country of Dressrosa, and he helped in a way that the Navy couldn't. So Fujitora is recognizing the significance of Luffy's role and respecting him for what he did. So it's really like actually admirable and honorable of Fujitora, even though he's doing something against what the Navy would have wanted him to do. He does what he thinks is right in the situation, and it's fair for him to be kind of like you did me a solid, so I'm going to help you out here as well.
Which is pretty wild when you think about it. the fact that he didn't step in, allowed Luffy to be this hero that has now formed this giant pirate alliance. It's like by not stepping in, he created a hero, but I don't think other people in the Navy would use that word.
Correct.
So it's kind of wild, that risk that he took and the opportunity that he gave Luffy.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's very interesting because Fujitora as a character, even though he can't see with his eyes, like he kind of sees things a little bit more clearly than I think the Navy really does. Because like the Navy sees things as like black or white, where Fujitora is more like calling it like the way that like he thinks things really are. It's like Fujitora kind of has like that perspective that's different from the rest of the Navy because they're very focused on their form of justice, where Fujitora's like realizing he's kind of come in at a later time in the Navy. And again, he came in through the draft, so he doesn't have the same history as a lot of the Navy. So he has a different perspective. But it's just interesting that somebody like this has been given a position this far up in the Navy. It seems solely based on his physical power, even though his philosophies don't seem to line up with the rest of the Navy. So it's just very interesting that this character has this approach and he's able to see this world in such a different way than everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of touching how he said, like, man, I wish I could have seen Luffy's face, because I feel like, he sees a pirate roll into town who he judges as a good judge of character. And so he allows him unhindered to go through with his plans, unite this entire nation that was under enslaved and taken prisoner, and frees them. But he then builds an alliance, a pirate alliance based off of camaraderie and shared goals and freedom, not power, greed, and a lust for like domination, like dominating the Grand Line. So it's kind of interesting to get that perspective from like a naval admiral.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a bigger worldview. Like it's like so respectable too, because he's putting his neck out and risking his career and his position for all of that. And it's a very noble. It seems to be a very noble cause, but it's also very risky because again, he's putting all of his trust in a pirate.
Yeah, but it kind of shows that like his actions aren't for selfish reasons. He's not doing I gotta, like, it's my career on the line, so I'm going to make this decision because I might get in trouble. He's like, no, I'm going to do what I think is right, even if it means that I get in trouble. So like his acts are very selfless in this case, where he's like doing what he thinks is right because of like the way he thinks that the world works. So yeah, I like his mindset here.
Yeah, Fujitora is like an awesome character that I'm excited to see more of.
Yeah, and then we end the chapter with a little party, and we also get this narration box. So I'll just read the narration here, where it says, "Through the very odd practice of Sun's Cups, and forces unexpected and out of their control, 7 odd and mighty warriors label themselves the followers of Straw Hat Luffy. After this moment, they will each grow in power until they eventually cause a great incident of historic proportions. But for the moment, that's a story no one yet knows about." So we get this kind of like, it's hard to tell if it's like supposed to be ominous, but like there's something momentous that's going to happen in the future, which is being alluded to here. This feels very substantial. We don't know what this event is going to be, but Oda's setting something up here for sure.
That's some foreshadowing right there.
Yeah, and just the fact that like Oda decided to put that into text in the narration,
Yeah,
that seems very deliberate. That Oda's like, hey, you guys be on the lookout because something's going to go down.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's like, let's not downplay how epic this is. Like this is.
You think this is cool?
Remember this moment. Like this will come back. This will have this will have repercussions for sure.
All right, you guys get to move on to the last chapter for the episode.
Hell yeah.
Do it.
All right, Cody, how about you finish off for us?
Chapter 801, Opening Speech. CP0, led by Lucci, searches Dressrosa for the list of Doflamingo's clients, but realizes it must have been taken by the Revolutionary Army. The people of Dressrosa rejoice as Riku officially takes over as king again, and he begins to make preparations for this year's reverie. He introduces the Tontados to the citizens of Dressrosa, and they work together to build statues to commemorate Kairos, Lucy, and God Usopp. As Doflamingo is escorted on the Navy vessel, he warns Suru that Fujitora chose the wrong side, as he was the only thing keeping certain monsters of this world at bay. He claims that with him out of the picture, the remaining forces in the world will be unleashed, and they will take down the Celestial Dragons in the process, resulting in the biggest battle the world has ever seen. Nearby, one of Kaido's ships, led by Jack, watches the Navy vessel. Luffy's crew is brought onto the Barto Club's ship, the Mr. Luffy, and are introduced to the rest of Bartolomeo's crew. Luffy has taken his Vivre card and handed out pieces to the members of his fleet, so they will always be able to find him. Zoro checks the newspaper and sees their bounties have gone. Bartolomeo leads them to his gallery, where he has all their wanted posters framed, along with the autographs he received from the present Straw Hats. As they banter about their wanted posters, Bartolomeo points out an odd detail on Sanji's poster. His bounty can only be collected alive.
What's up with that?
Huh.
What's up
Weird.
with that?
Huh.
Probably doesn't mean
Okay.
anything.
They have to mess something up with his wanted poster. He can't have a perfect poster.
Yeah.
First
There's a
it was the
typo.
photo, now the photo's fine, now the conditions are fucked up. It's just clear. This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, is this the first time his actual picture's been on the poster?
Yeah.
Yeah,
think
they
so.
say at the top of the page, oh, whoa, his poster isn't a sketch anymore.
Yeah. Of course, it looks like they picked this goofy picture of him.
Yep.
I
Sure
assume
did.
it's from Fishman Island when he was like
Yeah,
freaking out over. Yep.
makes sense. And that
Well,
kind of
Nami,
Nami,
like a professional
Yeah.
photographer.
she's always posing for her wanted
Like,
poster.
when did she get that picture taken? Looks like Robin's got a new photo too. Actually, do they all have new photos?
They all
do.
do, yeah. Except that Brooks is just the Soul King poster.
Yeah.
Also, wait, does this mean that like the Navy photographer got turned into a toy and then got awakened and then was just right there for when Usopp got hailed by Hajrunin?
Possibly.
I'm just wondering how he got
for
turned
the
there. But
God
again,
Usopp?
but again, this arc's been 100 chapters long. I may be missing something in the sequence of events. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Could come up in the SBS.
This does seem like an SBS question.
Although, when would they have gotten a picture of the General Frankie? Was that Fishman Island, maybe?
Yeah. I'd assume, and also I assume that Zoro's picture was also Fishman Island.
Yeah, I'm guessing that most of these were probably Fishman Island, except for Usopp. Because also the fact that they called him God Usopp, maybe like they did have these other ones ready from Fishman Island, but then when God Usopp happened, it's like that got factored into his bounty, so they had to update his. But yeah, that is interesting because, yeah, like you said, it's very possible he could have been like in that area and turned into a toy, and then when he turned back, he could have been one of the people who saw God Usopp.
Yeah, maybe. Also, Usopp mentions there's a huge bounty on my actual face. Because
Yeah,
it's been so it was
It
still
was Sniper
so
King
king after
before.
the time skip, right? Yeah.
yeah, the Sniper King. Yeah,
Amazing. Yes, Sniper King.
yeah.
And his bounty's above Sanji now.
He has the third biggest bounty on the crew.
He's the third highest on the
Usopp.
crew. Luffy and Law both at 500 million. Wow. Wild. Where did we start? 40 million?
30.
30.
30 million.
Yep.
Wowie. They grow up so fast.
Yeah, speaking of these bounties moving up, Chopper's now at a whopping 100 berries.
You can buy one whole cabbage. Crazy.
I have no words. The poor guy.
Although he's no longer pet. Wasn't he like pet before? Was it like Straw Hat's pet, Chopper?
Well, yeah, at least that's the reason why they gave like the bounty so low.
Right.
That was Chopper, the cotton candy lover.
Oh man. Very cool.
And then going back to the page before, I think it's hilarious how they have this whole like framed wall for the wanted posters.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some like funny things of the autographs that they have. So Luffy just wrote me for his autograph. So like Bartolomeo is just gonna have to assume that that was for Luffy. Luffy just wrote me. Zoro wrote the word sword. Usopp drew like a little picture of himself, and then like his signature, so it's pretty cool. Frankie drew like a little star, and then Robin drew a little picture of like a rooster because she calls him Rooster. So like she kind of did a little sketch for him too. So it's kind of cute that she did that.
Frankie wrote to my bro,
Yeah,
and Usopp wrote
Yeah.
to Bartolomeo.
yeah. So they took it a little more seriously.
Usopp is ready for fame.
Yeah,
Got Usopp.
he's been practicing his autograph since he was 5.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
I also love Law's reaction. He's like, "Cool, thanks." Now that I care about the number, fine. I don't want to fucking see it.
Oh man.
No, I don't need
Oh
a
yeah,
frame.
because Bart just said I threw yours out.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't care about
Whatever, it's fine.
it. Yeah, so Law's back to being a wanted man. He no longer has the waived bounty for being a warlord. Backtracking a little bit. Also, we see the the ship for Bartolomeo. What'd you guys think of the Mr. Luffy go?
Beautiful.
So good. With the rubbery arms.
Yeah, so it's got Luffy as like the figurehead with his arms stretched back.
It's got
And
Mary underneath the main mast, and it
Yep.
looks like Chopper's antlers, like at the rear.
yep.
Amazing.
Do they also have tangerine trees in the back?
I was just thinking, yeah, I think that is.
True fan.
They did their homework.
Yeah, that's a nice collection he's got there. I also love that the crew reacts the same way. Like they're all like super fans.
Yeah. And I like to Usopp react to the ship. He's like, okay, this is obviously ridiculous. Why does this look more like Luffy's ship than ours?
That's so nice of you.
It wasn't a compliment.
Oh, and we see the Weaver card being passed around as
Yeah.
well,
It's very important.
which is very important. And also, have we talked about how those are made, or do we have any idea?
Sabo had one made for Luffy. That's how they have
Right.
it. But we don't know what the actual process was.
I think Rayleigh said there's a shop in the New World where if you give someone, I think your fingernail, like a thing, like you
Something
clip
like
your
that.
fingernails, they can make it out of that. I don't think there's
Forget.
there's anything that's been said about like where in the New World or who the person is or whatever. Just that it's a service you can get somewhere in the New World.
So maybe there's like some people that know how to make them, but you might need like a piece of like, DNA or something to like
Yeah.
be able to create it.
I mean, Saba would have
What a
had to
great tool.
get it done pretty quickly though.
There could be like somebody in the
Yeah.
Revolutionary Army that was with them that knows how to do it, or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
He might have some kind of connection.
they do have resources. Yeah.
And then also they do give a piece to Bellamy. So Bellamy wasn't part of the followers, but he says like he'll take a piece just in case. So it's also kind of like a sign of being like, hey, maybe I'll see you later. But like Bellamy wasn't one of the people that pledged his allegiance to Luffy. But Bellamy's also kind of in a place where he doesn't have a place. So it's interesting to see where Bellamy's gonna go from here.
For sure.
Because like he also kind of lost his North Star, which was Doflamingo, where he's like, I'm just gonna do what Doflamingo says. That's no longer an option for him. So he's kind of a free agent. He can kind of go where he wants, but he doesn't really have that goal right now. So it's kind of like it's very interesting to see where Bellamy's gonna go from this point.
Think you'd try to free Doflamingo?
I don't think so.
I don't think you'd go that far.
Yeah, I feel like Doflamingo's kind of shown that he's not really worth following. Doflamingo was kind of the wrong person to back. And now that Bellamy's not really forced under Doflamingo's thumb anymore, like I don't think he'd willingly go back to being like subjugated to Doflamingo.
Yeah, I agree.
Could be wrong, but that's the impression I'm getting right now. And then just backtracking to the start of the chapter, we do see this little scene where there's a figure in a mask that is definitely Lucci.
Definitely Lucci. It took me a second though. I was like,
Yeah.
I know that mustache. I know that pigeon.
I like how Hachi has like a little coat and mask and tie as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Stubborn.
yeah, some kind of mask going on. Interesting.
Yeah. And then we also have another familiar face here, Spondum.
Bitch ass spandom. Sorry.
Yeah.
I tried to contain my rage. It didn't work.
That was modest.
Yeah. Still trying. We'll get
But Lucci is
Just
now
fuck
the
that.
head of CP0, and Spondum is working under him.
bitch boy
But
assistant. Yeah.
Spondum's the not the boss anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we did see that Lucci was on that call in Punk Hazard. It's interesting because like when I was watching the anime a few months ago for Punk Hazard, I feel like the animators didn't realize that Lucci was supposed to be one of those figures, and I think the person they had in that scene for Lucci wasn't Lucci. Like, so when they had kind of like that mysterious silhouette, and like, I don't think they used Lucci's voice. I think they just had like, a generic person. Like, I think they missed that it was supposed to be Lucci when they animated it.
Mm.
But yeah, it was supposed to be Lucci in that scene, and we saw that he was kind of keeping tabs on the black market, and now he's here, and they're looking for the client list. I think they're trying to use that information, but the Revolutionary Army seems to be a step ahead of them, and they took the client list before CP0 could get their hands on it. But it seems like they were actively investigating Doflamingo's black market. That's why they were part of that call. Yeah, and we just have like some nice scenes with the citizens of Dressrosa. You know, they're getting ready for the revelry, which we knew about. That was coming up from Fishman Island. And we get these cool statues of Kairos, Lucy, and God Usopp with the face that he made when Sugar got scared. But that's like the way that the Tontados remembered Usopp, so they made him that way. So that was the moment of like their operation that they saw. That was like the turning point for Operation SOP.
So good. Yeah, I love this narration kind of going over the montage of kind of the aftermath. I think is just so well done. Gives it like a historical weight
Yeah.
that Oda's so good at.
But yeah, now the Tontados are also public, like because
Mm.
before it was kind of like we just pretend that they don't exist, but now they're being introduced publicly to the citizens of Dressrosa. So there's kind of like less of like a mystique about them. They're kind of just going to be part of like the country. So it's going. I think that people are just gonna expect to see them around now, as opposed to pretending that they couldn't, that they didn't know about them. So
Mhm.
yeah, so I think it's going to be like a new age for the Tontados who were also oppressed in the past, and kind of like a way to help make things right by letting them be part of the country and not try to keep them like a secret.
Yeah, Dressrosa is going to look very different after getting a facelift and decimated and like yeah.
It's a
We kind of
rebirth.
talked about how Luffy, yeah, we've talked about how Luffy like strolls into cities and leaves them a little different when he leaves. This is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and then we get this conversation of Suru and Doflamingo having a little chat. Doflamingo says that he was the only thing kind of keeping the monsters in check. So he's saying with him out of the picture, it's going to cause things to escalate. And like he was basically like the leash keeping things at bay. So what did you guys think of this conversation? And was there anything in particular that you got out of it?
I mean, it's very foreboding. I mean, like as much as I hate Dofi, he probably does have some truth to his words, and there is going to probably be like a power vacuum formed by his disappearance, which is obviously going to have some major ripple effects worldwide. And he's kind of making it sound like they just opened Pandora's box, and now it's like going to be kind of mayhem.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure there's some truth to that. Yeah, which is pretty horrifying.
How about you, Cody? Do you have any specific thoughts on this?
I'm very much in a will see sort of standpoint because I think it is like, yes, there's a big power vacuum. Yes, there's a lot of disruption with like all the underground trade stuff. But it's also like Dofi does love to grandstand. And Dofi does love to be sensationalist. And I think to chalk up his own importance. So for me, I think that it's gonna be, yes, there will be big moves. I don't know if it's gonna be everyone he lists. But I'm curious to see it. But I'm sure each of the factions he mentions, there will be stuff going on. And I'm curious to see what's happening with the revolution. Because I feel like we have gotten like many like, oh, look at all the big players, sort of like scorecards at the end of these big arcs. And the revolutionaries haven't really been mentioned as much. And now that we've got Sabo in the picture, it's we'll see.
Totally.
What about you, Joel?
I think this is kind of for the reader in a way where Doflamingo is hinting at things that we're likely going to see, but he's kind of like posing it in a way that's just kind of like putting things into perspective. So he says like who rules the stretch of the water? Is it one of the emperors? Is it one of the warlords? Is it one of the supernovas? Is it the navy? Is it the revolutionary army? Who's going to be helping who? Who's going to betray who? So he's kind of like setting the stage for the world. But he's like saying whatever happens is going to lead to the biggest battle in the history. So Doflamingo, again, he knows something that the rest of the world doesn't know. And he said that if this information got out, it would kind of shake the foundations of the world. So there's a piece of information that Doflamingo knows about, and we don't know what that information is. So when Doflamingo says something like this, I think there is some validity behind it.
Hmm.
But like Cody
Sure.
said, we're kind of in a situation where it's like we'll see.
Yeah.
But I
think
take
it's also
this
like
with like I kind of think Doflamingo is not just grandstanding. I think there's maybe some truth to what he's saying here.
yeah, I guess I should say my question is how much and where.
Yes, yes.
Because it's also Dofi's standing for Oda, and Oda does want to tease, but Oda also likes to keep us guessing at the same time.
Right.
So it's a question of like, okay, well, like, what are we gonna get, and how's
Yeah.
that? Like, what's up, man?
Mhm.
Yeah. So like I was saying, like he's kind of setting the stage, but like he's not like calling specific shots. He's just kind of like saying, well, these are the different forces at play. Like what's going to happen? Like how are they going to interact with each other? So he's kind of like the stand-in, like Cody was saying, like for Oda to be kind of like, these are things that might happen. Like these are like the things to keep in mind going forward. Like this is kind of the state of things. Yeah, I think it's just kind of like setting the stage for how the world of One Piece is going to get shaken up going forward. But yeah, he doesn't give anything super specific here. It's just kind of things to like look out for and think about going forward. But I think there's like this cool, like heavy shading with like all these different figures. It's kind of cool to see like this
Yeah.
like collage of different characters, which we kind of haven't really seen assembled in this way before. The players that are mentioned here are kind of cool how Oda's drawn them here.
Yeah, anytime he does this high contrast, high shadow sort of lighting, I really, really enjoy. And
Agreed.
he even
Yeah.
like it's the same. It's also like the same kind of contrast of the Barto earlier in the volume, which I find very funny. But also just it's always so badass whenever he does this. I'll comment on almost anytime I see it because I love it so much.
Sorry. I'm trying to look at what is happening above beige and like to the side of law. Looks like there's like some spiky hair over here.
I don't know.
I think it's Killer or whatever, but it got cut off.
Oh, it could be Killer.
But he's
Think
under
so.
the speech bubble, maybe.
Is he like facing away though? No, Killer's actually to the left. He's near Eustace.
Oh, you're right. Yep.
Oh, yep, there he is. Also, top left.
Top left, the very top left.
Yeah, very top left. Is that a new silhouette?
So that's probably the best look at Big Mom we've seen so far.
Okay, yeah.
Because we've now seen Kaido, and he's still kind of like shadowed out over here. But we've now seen him, so we know what he looks like, and I think we have a clear picture of Kaido in this instance. But Big Mom, we haven't actually seen her face yet. Like we've seen like silhouettes of her, but I think this is probably the most detailed we've seen, like of what she might look like.
Neat.
You know who else we see right under Shanks?
Buggy Boy.
Yes, we see Buggy.
Buggy Boy.
Yeah, some of these profiles are kind of like mixed in together, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I have a guess as to who this other person is, but I think it's just because they haven't been introduced yet. I think that's why we don't actually see their face. I think they're turned away from the camera, surprisingly. But I do think this is supposed to be a specific person that we haven't seen yet.
Agreed.
Interesting.
because also in the Admiral panel, there's another character that we haven't actually seen yet, who's kind of hinted at here. Because we know Sakazuki is the fleet admiral. We see Borsellino, and there's Fujitora, and there's another admiral that we haven't actually seen yet. Because Fujitora was only one of the admirals who was drafted to replace the vacant seats.
That's a really
So,
good catch.
so we see there's another character who's actually facing towards the speech bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a profile. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that's somebody's hair.
A storm's coming.
Storm's coming. Yeah, and then I'm not going to point this out specifically, but Cody, I think there's an interesting line that Doflamingo has here that I think indicates what he knows. I was wondering if you picked up on it as well. The secret that Doflamingo is aware of, I think, is actually alluded to in this chapter.
I think I do. We'll have to talk about it later.
Okay.
I think I know what you're talking. Yes. Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I do see where you're going with this.
Okay, so we might have to revisit this at a later time, Evan.
We
but
definitely have to.
I think there's a strong hint here as to what Doflamingo knows.
Ooh. Can I take a guess?
I see where you're going with this. For sure.
You can take a guess.
You're going with this.
I think if I had to guess, I would guess it has something to do with the people of the D.
Okay.
Knowledge about people of the D, or something deeper there.
Okay. I'm not going to tell you if you're right or wrong.
You don't have to.
But yeah, you can guess. That's fine.
Just taking a stab in the dark.
All right. Yeah, and then lastly, we just have this little scene here of somebody from Kaido's crew. So somebody is looking through a telescope, and they see the ship that Doflamingo's on, and there's a little interaction here where they say, "Looks like we can't seize Joker. Shall we return Captain Jack?" He says, "Why would we? Of course we're going, you idiot." We see Kaido's mark on this ship here. So we know that Jack is part of Kaido's crew.
Speaking of Kaido, if you turn the page in the scene where Luffy is on Bartolomeo's ship, is he wearing a Kaido tank top? Doesn't it kind of look like it?
Oh, I see what you're saying. The back of his tank top has like
it almost looks like the Kaido jolly.
I can see that.
Like tusks.
It sort of looks like a bull, honestly. I'm wondering if it was like a Dressrosa fighting bull sort of shirt.
Oh, it could be a Moosey t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes more sense.
I like that.
Yeah, I didn't notice the design of the shirt. But yeah, that wraps up Dressrosa. Just a quick 100 chapter arc.
Just a little shorty.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah, so Evan, I'm guessing the arc was a bit longer than you expected.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I predicted, but yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Covered a lot of ground though.
Yeah, it's basically like 10 volumes. So
that's insane.
Wild.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, so how about we move on to our arc rankings?
Dope.
Cool.
Okay, so let's start with Evans.
Okie doke. My rankings. In S tier, we've got Marineford, Alabasta, Arlong Park, Baratier, Skypiea, and Water 7. In A tier, Punk Hazard, Impel Down, Ennis Lobby, Thriller Bark, Drum Island, Sabodi, Fishman Island, Amazon Lily, Little Garden, Logtown, Jaya, Romance Dawn, Syrup Village. And then in B tier, Post-War, Long Ring, Long Land, Whiskey Peak, Reverse Mountain, Orangetown. Whew. And Dressrosa. So I'm going to sound like a broken record because I say this every record, but I feel like this has got to be the most epic arc that we're just saying how long it was, which doesn't necessarily mean it's epic. I mean, Marineford is also pretty epic because of the scale. I'm debating whether I want to put it top of S or after Marineford. I think I'm going to go top of S. And I think it's going to play into our next ranking, but we can get to that when we get there.
Okay.
But I do think that the villain plays a big role in this ranking because I think Doflamingo, for me personally, is like one of the top, is the top villain we've had so far.
Okay. So you're gonna put it as your number one arc?
Yeah. Yep.
All
I think I
right.
am. Marineford is a close second because I think like Marineford was cool. Like the Straw Hats do get split up in this arc, which is maybe like a
Hmm.
slight detraction for me. But I do love this arc. I loved Luffy and Law, and I mean it's hard to summarize 100 chapters. Yeah, I just think the scale and the epicness and the villain make this a top tier S tier arc for me.
Awesome. Cool.
Oda's on a roll. I feel like Oda's just like, and again, broken record, but like I feel like Oda really is like refining his craft and getting really good at telling these large epic arcs, which just gets me like super pumped for the future and what is to come because as we were just saying, like the power vacuum has been opened and the can of worms can't be resealed.
Hmm.
Cool.
I'm curious
Uh,
where you guys are at.
yeah. Cody, how about you walk us through your rankings?
Yeah, so right now I've got S tier, Water 7, Marineford, Baratier, Arlong Park, Ennie's Lobby, and Alabasta. Then A tier is Drum Island, Impel Down, Saboti, Post War, Thriller Bark, Jaya, Punk Hazard, Amazon Lily, Orangetown, Skypia, Romance Dawn, and Fishman Island. Then B tier is Syrup Village, Reverse Mountain, Logtown, Longing Longland, Little Garden, and Whiskey Peak. As far as where I'd put Dressrosa, this one is very it's always difficult for me to rank One Piece arcs. This one's particularly difficult for me. I agree with a lot of the things Evan has said. There is something to the scale of this arc. It truly is epic, and I agree that the length of an arc is not an indicator of how epic it is. For my personal experience of this arc, and I just want to say there's something very subjective about my experience of this arc, and there's a very good chance my ranking of Dressrosa does change as time goes on. I think that because the length of the arc and the experience that we've had reading it over how long a time we've had, and through no one's fault, just like the amount of breaks we've had for it, I feel like, honestly, this is my own fault more than anything. I feel like I don't have as connected a picture of Dressrosa as a whole as I do other arcs. The number of times I've been in the podcast and either like contradicted myself or been like, "Oh, wait, did that already happen?" Or like, "Oh, this character was in that part." That doesn't happen to me with One Piece arcs normally, and I can't say that that's a detriment to Oda. It's just a result of like my ability to pay as wide attention to it as I have in the past. But I think the setting's amazing. I think the sheer amount of new characters that are introduced, the amazing moments that we've had, relationships between characters, deepening of Luffy, the fact that we had again such a great antagonist, Doflamingo. God, yeah, like what a fucking asshole Doflamingo is. Corazon Law flashback, that's a highlight of the entire series for me. I think are such standouts. And again, really do show how much Oda has learned over the course of the at this point 18 years writing the story, how much he has refined his approach. So it
Wow.
is truly amazing. At the same time, though, when I think of Dressrosa and I think about what I love, it really is, I think about distinct parts rather than like Water 7, like, oh, that whole arc, like everything coming together. Again, that may more so be a reflection of my level of depth reading it this time than the arc as a whole. And I just want to be very clear about that. And for that reason, oh, I've got to make a decision. Oh, I know like the exact zone I want to put it into, but like, oh god, I just don't.
It's tough. It's always tough.
I'm gonna say bottom of S tier. Bottom of S tier. I was thinking either like right above or below Drum Island, but I do think like there is just something about like even if they are distinct moments, the sheer amount of distinct moments still put it in S for me.
Okay.
I can't say I love it more than any of these other like S tier arcs, but like it does belong. It does belong with them.
Okay. So you're gonna
Honestly,
put it
And
after
honestly,
Alabasta?
yeah. So it's now
Okay.
Water 7, Marineford, Barate, Arlong Park, Ennie's Lobby, Alabasta, Dressrosa is my S tier.
Got it.
I'm surprised you didn't rank it higher just based off of law. Like we got so much law in
We
this
did
arc.
get so much law, but I also have to be aware of my own law bias at the same time.
This is
If
all
I'm
biased
ranking
though.
like One Piece support characters, then yeah, law 100%.
Fair.
Sabo like very close beneath him. But if it's like the arc as a
Yes,
whole, that's like, okay,
Sabo.
yeah.
I'm a big
Sabo is
Sabo
great.
fan. Yeah, I think I'm
I
gonna really
will
like
say-
Sabo.
I will say I don't think I appreciated Sabo as much the first time I read Dressrosa as I have this time.
I agree.
I've grown to love Sabo so much more this read. So he's
So good.
a great part of a truly great arc. What about
Okay,
you,
awesome.
Joel?
Yeah, what about you, Joel? I'm so curious now that we got a top of S and a bottom of S.
I think this might be one of the hardest arcs to rank. So I don't want to say anything beforehand, but Dressrosa is very divisive. A lot of people, I don't know if it's because of like the anime, or just like the amount of like chapters it has, or reading it week to week. I think people have a negative connotation for Dressrosa, but I love Dressrosa. The problem I have is trying to decide if I love it more than other things.
Yeah.
But for me, Dressrosa is definitely going to be in S tier. And I think I'm going to put it higher than I was initially thinking. I just going to put it high. But Dressrosa does have some of the craziest moments in the series. And I have fond memories of reading it week to week. So I know some people have a negative experience reading it week to week because it's so long. But I enjoyed reading it week to week. And because of like some of the hype moments, like they stuck with me from that experience. So I mean, we get the whole plot of like the toys, what's going on with that was like a fun mystery. The Coliseum, like that was like a whole fun thing that was set up. We got introduced to all these crazy characters. The concept of the flame fruit being a prize, the reintroduction of Sabo, the introduction of Bartolomeo, the attack of the something from Big Mom pirates, then like the law of flashback. Then we also had like Gear 4 introduced. We had like all these crazy things around God Usopp, like the sugar thing. Like there's like so many memorable moments of Dressrosa because the arc is so long. It's almost like a cheat because it's so long that Oda was able to put in so many of these iconic moments into it just by the nature of being so long. Yeah, like all those things are factors for me that go into making Dressrosa such a strong arc. And there's a lot of parallels with Alabasta, which is also currently my second favorite arc that I have ranked. So I have strong feelings for Alabasta, and I think we've mentioned some of the parallels before, how it almost feels like a leveled up version of Alabasta. I kind of feel like what Dressrosa does is kind of similar to what Alabasta did, where it kind of made the storytelling feel like it went up a level, because Alabasta was kind of like built up, and it was Oda's way of introducing a longer arc to One Piece, like, and having it pay off from what was set up before. And Dressrosa kind of does that, and also does it within itself. And because it's such a long arc, Oda was able to really establish these characters. And then at the very end, we get the concept of Luffy getting like a grand fleet. So like that's like a level that like puts Luffy like crazy.
Level up.
And also like Fujitora as a character, like our conversations too about like Doflamingo as a character also, I feel, put him on a different level than what I would have maybe even thought before. Like, I just feel like we had a lot of interesting discussions of Doflamingo and just his concept of a family. So all these things go into this, and I think I'm going to put Dressrosa after Marineford and before Alabasta. So it'll be my second favorite arc. For me, it was tough to decide whether or not to put it above or below Alabasta. But
Same
I
boat.
think when I put it in like the objective terms of like all the crazy things that happen, as much as I love Crocodile, Doflamingo is also like an amazing villain, and all the other factors that go into Dressrosa, it does kind of feel more involved. Like Alabasta feels a little bit more simple in a way. Not that it's a bad thing, but Dressrosa just kind of feels like it was much more involved. There's more going on. That there's more going into it, and for I see that as more of like a strength as opposed to a detraction. So some people might see it the other way around, and I understand detractors of Dressrosa, but for me, all those things go into making the strength of the arc, and that's why I'm going to put it in that position.
Valid.
Hell yeah. That was very close to doing the same. I feel like I'm also kind of it's either like it's definitely
Yeah,
top. I think top two for me.
yeah. But I think Green
We
just kind
are
of takes
all
a little
putting,
bit of an edge still.
That's fair.
we are all putting it within 1 or 2 spots of Alabasta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just want to mention it's pretty. Yeah.
So I think it's safe to say if you like Alabasta, then maybe you might also like Dressrosa, or you might kind of feel similar how you did to Alabasta with Dressrosa. But that was our experience. Other people might have others. Okay. Let's move on to the villain rankings, which I think is also going to be, I think, pretty easy for us in this regard. But currently in S tier, we have Crocodile, followed by Arlong. A tier, we have Caesar, Gecko Moria, Enel, or Eneru, Buggy, Uchi, and Magellan. B tier, we have Kuro, Foxy, Wapple, Krieg. C tier, we have Hody. Evan, I'm going to let you start off.
Yeah.
Where'd you put
All
Doflamingo?
right. I think I gave up my feelings a little bit in my arc ranking, but I think as a reader, this was the first time that it felt like an unbeatable, like god level threat in Doflamingo, and I think that that added so much to this arc, and it's why I think I ranked the arc so highly is because of Doflamingo's just like reach and villainy, and he's just like pure evil and insanely powerful. Like we were questioning his power throughout the whole thing, and so when Luffy really does take him down, it literally felt like he was felling a god, and I thought that that was such like the climax of the whole arc, and I think a lot of arcs are only as good as their villains in a way, and I think that it was such a great. I think he's going to be top of S for me. But having said all of that, I feel like Croc and us talking about the parallels between Alabasta and Dressrosa, like at the time when Luffy was facing Croc, it kind of felt that extreme as well. It's just
Hmm.
now that we've seen Luffy grow so much as a character, and Crocodile, is no longer the threat he once was to Luffy specifically. You know, I know we've had this discussion too every time we rank villains. Is just like the power scaling as Luffy's getting stronger. The villain list is getting weaker in a sense because these are all people that he's bested. But I do think just like Doflamingo and his posse, like he had his henchmen that were also incredibly powerful and difficult to defeat, and changed the face of Dressrosa on a literal and physical level. Yeah, I think for me it's top of S tier, but I do love Croc. I mean, it's hard. It's like top two, but I think he's got to be number one for me. But
Number one. Okay.
what about you guys? What do you think?
I don't. I for once I don't think I have a ton to say. I think Dovy's just obviously an S tier villain. I can't. I don't think I have much. Evan, you said it perfectly. We haven't seen anyone like this before. Actually, I think the one thing I'll say is I think a good villain should be someone that's so easy to hate but so easy to recognize, and I think Doflamingo is that exactly.
Yeah,
So yeah, top of S tier without a doubt. But it's like razor thin difference between him and Crocodile. So close.
I'm with you on that.
But Dofi,
I'm with you on that.
yeah,
It's
but
close.
Dofi just edges him out for me.
All right. So you both have Dofi as number one.
Mhm.
All right. I'm not gonna argue with you guys. I personally still would put Croc as my number one, but I don't have a valid reason to put Doflamingo below Croc other than I just like Croc more. Um, but as a villain, like I can't argue that Doflamingo is possibly the best in the series so far because he has all those qualities that you mentioned where he's seemed like undefeatable. He's had his hands in so many parts of the world, and his influence in the world goes beyond anything we've seen so far. His cruelty, his evil, it's been unparalleled so far. And he's taken over an entire country, and he succeeded kind of where Croc didn't. And he was able to abuse the powers of his subordinates and take control of the country by turning people to toys who he didn't want to deal with. So he can kind of just like make people forget about that they ever existed. So the amount of power that he had, the amount of influence he had was insane. even like the world government didn't know what to do with him. They kind of just had to like let him do his thing, and they were kind of like, afraid to stand up to him. So the fact that Doflamingo was able to kind of go unchecked, and the world government kind of just looked the other way for all the stuff he was doing, like in Doflamingo's like history, being a former celestial dragon goes into like his ego, and then like his power level, just crazy. Like we saw him like with the Awakened Devil Fruit, which is something we haven't really seen before. Yeah, I think just like as a power level and a character level villain, I do think it's very easy for Doflamingo to be S tier, and it's very easy for him to be number one. And I'm not going to argue for anything other than that. So I think it's safe to put Doflamingo as number one as a villain so far.
Yeah. Favorite ranking versus top ranking, it's like nitpicking.
Yeah. So again, like I think there's a strong case for Doflamingo being number one. So I'm going to go with you guys.
Happy with that.
All right. So yeah, since we wrapped up this part of One Piece with the Dressrosa arc, do you guys have any final thoughts for Dressrosa or the volume so far?
I'm so psyched. Like I said, it feels like Pandora's box was just unleashed, and like, who the hell knows what's going to happen next? Like, pure chaos, surely, but like, I'm very curious to see the ripple effects of Doflamingo's fall, and also like immediately curious what's going to happen with Law. Like, I feel like Law and
Hmm.
Luffy's sort of alliance or relationship hasn't really. I feel like that part of this arc hasn't concluded yet, so I'm curious to see like what happens there, if it concludes or if it continues or what. But love Law, so I'm very curious to see where he ends up. And yeah, I'm also excited for the Straw Hats to be reunited with the rest of the crew. It's been too long again. You know,
They just got back together.
I know they just got back together. Come on,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm hyped.
How about you, Cody?
I just can't wait to see what happens next. Again, like, loved it. So glad we had our tale with Dressrosa. I am very hungry to see the rest of the world again, though. I'm excited to see the rest of the Straw Hats. But yeah, I'm very glad that we've had our time with Dressrosa.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a very
Right, well,
strong end to the arc. Nice way to wrap up Dressrosa. And, nice little bow for Rebecca and Kairos. Happy to see Dressrosa in a much better place than when we first got there. Yeah, and the ramifications for this, I think, like you guys are saying, like it's going to cause ripples, and the way it's going to play out, I think, is going to be very exciting. Also, as much as I love Dressrosa, it's going to be fun to move on to the next arc, and we have more fun stuff to come up. So, very excited that we're progressing into the story and where we're going next.
next stop Zao, according to chapter titles.
Oh, you have to look at that.
Who
Yeah,
let you read that? Who let him
Whoops.
do that?
You can bleep it. You can bleep it.
that's okay. Well, it's already been implied. Like that's where they were intending to go before. All right. On that note, that will conclude this week's episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. You can find this episode wherever podcasts are found at We Reading One Piece podcast at buzzsprout.com or on the YouTube channel at We Reading One Piece. This is a spoiler-free channel to where we record the podcast. If you're new to the series, you can visit the channel there. You can also find me and this podcast on my YouTube channel at Park King Codex for more One Piece content. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you can reach us at werereadingonepiece@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from listeners, so if you're enjoying the show, or if you have any suggestions on how we can get better, let us know. Next episode, we'll be finishing Volume 80, Opening Speech. I've been Joel, and I've been joined by Evan
Thanks for listening.
and Cody.
Goodbye, Dressrosa. We'll see you soon, maybe. Who knows?
All right, we'll be sure to bring on all the hopes and dreams, and we'll see you on the next episode.